What if some of the most disturbing events happening in our world today were written down thousands of years ago? Ancient texts speak of a time when violence becomes normal, truth feels uncomfortable, and forbidden knowledge spreads faster than wisdom. One of these texts is the Book of Enoch, a book banned, ignored, and forgotten by many, yet its prophecies sound eerily familiar. In this video, you will discover 7 ancient warnings that many believe are unfolding right now. We will explore what the Book of Enoch actually says, and then compare it with Islamic sources, the Quran and Hadith, not to scare you, not to force belief, but to ask an honest question. Are these just coincidences, or are we living inside a pattern that was already seen long ago? Stay till the end, because the final prophecy is not about destruction, but about purification, and it may completely change how you see what's coming next. Welcome to our channel, where ancient history meets modern reality. If you enjoy deep topics, hidden truths, and thought-provoking stories like this, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss what comes next. Before we talk about prophecies, we need to understand one important question. What exactly is the Book of Enoch? The Book of Enoch is an ancient religious text. It is believed to be more than 2,000 years old. It is named after Enoch, a man mentioned in the Bible and also briefly in the Quran as a righteous and elevated servant of God. What makes this book unusual is not just its age, but its content. It speaks about angels, forbidden knowledge, the corruption of humanity, and a final judgment. For centuries, this book was read by early Jewish and early Christian communities. Some parts of it were even quoted in early religious writings. Yet over time, it slowly disappeared from mainstream scripture. Most religious institutions chose not to include it in their official canon. Why? Some scholars say its descriptions were too intense, too detailed, too unsettling. Others believe it revealed ideas that people were not ready to accept. Interestingly, Islam takes a different position. The Quran clearly states that many revelations were sent before it. Some were preserved, others were lost, and some were altered over time. This means one important thing. Just because a text is not fully accepted does not automatically mean everything inside it is false. Fragments of truth can exist, even in forgotten books. And this is where the Book of Enoch becomes important. Because when we compare its warnings with the Quran and Hadith, we begin to notice something strange. The patterns start to match. And the first pattern takes us to a world that looks very much like our own. Transition line for suspense. In the next part, we explore the first prophecy, a world that looks disturbingly like the days of Noah. According to the Book of Enoch, there would come a time when violence would fill the earth, a time when corruption would feel normal, and morality would feel outdated. Enoch describes a world where wrongdoing is no longer hidden. It is open, accepted, even celebrated. Now pause for a moment. Does that sound unfamiliar? Look around the world today. Wars are everywhere, injustice feels routine, and human life often feels cheap. Wrong is defended, right is questioned. This description closely mirrors what the Bible and Islamic tradition describe as the days of Noah. In Islamic sources, the people of Noah were warned again and again, but they laughed. They ignored the signs. They mocked the truth. The Quran tells us that corruption spread so deeply that it became part of daily life, and the Prophet Muhammad FDFA gave a powerful warning. He said that before the end of times, the world would return to conditions like the days of Noah. Not because of technology, not because of buildings or cities, but because of human behavior. Loss of shame, increase in oppression, and silence of the righteous. What makes this prophecy disturbing is not the punishment. It is the warning, because the flood was not sudden. It came after long patience. This suggests something important. When moral collapse becomes normal, judgment is no longer far away. But that was only the first sign. The next prophecy speaks about something even more dangerous, a time when humanity walks away from truth itself. The Book of Enoch warns that before the final judgment, people would not just do wrong. They would reject truth itself. Wisdom would feel old, guidance would feel restrictive, and truth would feel offensive. Enoch describes a world where people turn away from knowledge that calls them to responsibility. Instead, they choose comfort, they choose desire, they choose convenience. This is what many scholars call the Great Falling Away. And this idea does not appear only in the Book of Enoch. Islamic tradition speaks clearly about this phase of history. The Prophet Muhammad said that a time would come when holding on to faith would feel like holding burning coal. Not because belief disappears, but because living by it becomes difficult. Look at the world today. Religion is often treated as a personal hobby, not a moral compass. Faith is tolerated only when it stays silent. Truth is welcome only when it agrees. This is not disbelief in the open. This is something quieter, a slow drifting away. The Quran describes people who hear guidance but choose not to follow it. Not because they do not understand, but because it challenges them. And this is what makes the great falling away so dangerous. Because when truth is rejected, falsehood takes its place. And that opens the door to the next warning. A warning about knowledge that grows faster than wisdom. In the Book of Enoch, there is a powerful warning. A warning about knowledge that humans were never meant to use. Enoch speaks of angels who taught humanity things that crossed dangerous boundaries. Not wisdom, but power. This knowledge did not make people better. It made them reckless. It blurred the line between creation and control. Now think about our world today. We can edit human genes. We can create thinking machines. We can destroy cities with the push of a button. Technology is advancing faster than moral responsibility. The Book of Enoch suggests that when knowledge grows without guidance, collapse follows. Islam does not reject knowledge. In fact, the first word revealed in the Quran was read. But the Quran also warns that knowledge without humility leads to corruption. Power without accountability leads to destruction. The problem is not learning. The problem is crossing limits. When humans begin to act as if there are no boundaries, they stop asking whether something should be done. They only ask whether it can be done. And history shows us what happens next. Societies weaken, pride increases, consequences follow. According to Enoch, this phase does not last forever. Because when boundaries are broken, judgment begins to move closer. And that judgment comes in two forms. The Book of Enoch speaks of two great judgments. The first was by water. The second will be by fire. The judgment by water is familiar to many. The flood of Noah was not just a punishment. It was a warning of what happens when corruption reaches its peak. According to Enoch, the flood was meant to reset humanity, but it was not the final judgment. The final one, Enoch says, will come through fire, not sudden, not random, but deliberate. Now look at the world today. Floods are increasing, wildfires are spreading, Earth reacts in extreme ways. These events are often explained only through science. But religious tradition asks a deeper question. Why now? The Quran states that corruption appears on land and sea because of what people have done, not as revenge, but as a sign, a reminder. The Prophet Muhammad also warned that before the end of times, natural signs would increase, not to destroy everyone but to wake people up. Fire and water are not just elements, they are messages. Warnings before the final chapter, and according to Enoch, after these signs, a figure appears, not a tyrant, not a politician, but a judge. After chaos and warnings, Enoch speaks of a figure chosen by God, a leader, a judge, someone who will restore balance and hold humanity accountable. This is not just a political leader. This is someone with divine authority. Enoch describes this chosen one as powerful, but just bringing order to a world of confusion. Today, many people feel the same need. We see instability everywhere. Governments falter, corruption spreads, people yearn for justice and truth. Interestingly, Islamic tradition speaks of similar figures. The Prophet Muhammad mentioned Al-Mahdi. He is described as a just leader who appears in the final era to restore balance and fairness. And then there is Isa, Jesus, peace be upon him, who will return to defeat falsehood and establish peace. The lesson is clear. Human systems alone cannot fix what is broken. Guided justice is necessary before true peace can exist. But the story does not end with leadership. Even the righteous who are ignored today will be revealed. Enoch warns that in these troubling times the righteous will often remain hidden. They may be ignored, mocked, even despised. Yet according to the prophecy, their patience and faithfulness will not go unnoticed forever. At the right moment they will be revealed, honored for their steadfastness, recognized for their virtue. This idea is also reflected in Islamic teachings. The Quran repeatedly reminds us, Allah is aware of the unseen, and He will reward every soul according to its deeds. Surah Al-Hujurat 49:13, paraphrased. The Hadith confirms that in the end times, true believers may feel overlooked, but Allah knows their worth. In today's world, we can see echoes of this prophecy. People who live quietly, doing good without fame or recognition, often face ridicule, yet their integrity remains intact. Enoch suggests that this hiddenness is not punishment but preparation. For when the world finally shifts, the hidden righteous will shine. And their recognition will signal that true justice and divine order are on the horizon. The final prophecy in the Book of Enoch is perhaps the most striking. It speaks of fire. But not a fire meant only to destroy, a fire meant to purify. Enoch describes it as a cleansing force. It burns away corruption, greed, and sin. It leaves only what is pure, only what is righteous. This is not punishment for the sake of fear. It is restoration, a renewal of creation. Islamic teachings echo this idea. The Quran explains that trials and tests purify the soul. The fire of accountability is not revenge. It refines the faithful, preparing them for a higher purpose. The Prophet Muhammad, letter FDFA, said that hardships are like a flame. They remove impurities from the believer and increase their closeness to Allah. In today's world, this prophecy can be seen as a warning and a promise. Warning: corruption and arrogance have consequences. Promise: perseverance, righteousness, and faithfulness will endure. The fire purifies the world, but it also purifies the heart. This final vision is not the end. It is a new beginning, a chance for renewal, for a world and a society rebuilt on truth and justice. We have now explored all 7 prophecies of Enoch. A world like the days of Noah, the great falling away from truth, forbidden knowledge returning, judgment by water and fire, the chosen one taking the throne, the hidden righteous revealed, and the purifying fire. Each prophecy speaks of warning and hope. Warning: the world is fragile. Corruption, arrogance, and recklessness have consequences. Hope: righteousness, patience, and faith endure. Those who remain true will be revealed. The world can be renewed. When we compare these prophecies with the Quran and Hadith, we see striking similarities. Humanity faces trials before the end times. Righteous believers may feel hidden or ignored. Divine justice is inevitable and the faithful are rewarded. The message is not to live in fear. It is to reflect, to prepare, to act with wisdom and integrity. Ancient warnings remind us that our choices matter. Every action has weight. Every deed counts. So the question is not if these prophecies will unfold. The real question is, are we ready? If this video made you think and you want to explore more hidden truths, make sure to subscribe to our channel. Hit the notification bell so you never miss the stories that connect history, prophecy, and today. Because understanding the past can change the way we see the future. Thank you for watching. Stay curious, stay aware, and stay prepared.